and welcome to Buildings of Tomorrow. My name is John Lester, and on this episode we'll be talking about how we can avoid creating slaves to technology as we integrate more technology into our daily lives. I'm joined in the studio today by Franziska Dolak, an Innovation Manager at Siemens Smart Infrastructure. Franziska, thank you for joining us.
Yes, let's do that.
We've talked a lot about productivity. We've talked about how technology is an enabler to create this connection between buildings and the users of the building so that we can facilitate and positively affect this productivity. Is there such a thing as too much technology?
Oh, there absolutely is. So really when we started off on this quest of really identifying what's happening there in the office space and how people are feeling and how does it make them feel and what's actually happening, we look at some of the most tech advanced and supposedly smart buildings around the globe. And it was honestly a bit shocking what we found. I really have to say, no, it was really scary. So specifically in this one building, we talked to people like several, it was a multi-tenant building, so different people from different walks of life. So really any age group, very tech savvy or less tech savvy. So really anything. But what all of them had in common is they really felt like, as you also in your introduction statement said, as a slave to technology. It made me feel really bad. And then we started looking into, so why is that? And they said, right, there are so many things and I have to input this and this and this and there. There's very little that I can still do manually. And it's just more like, right, I think they described it like, it feels like I'm feeding a robot, right?
Okay.
But the question was, what is it giving back to me?
Right, so they felt there were so many tools, so many interactions that they were spending their whole time giving information, but had lost the connection with their actual surroundings.
Yes, so I think it's really a bit this loss of control, this feeling of like, oh, the different system, once again, I have to rethink, and you're obviously also starting to think, is this thing always on, or what's really happening? Is it accessible? It feels like a huge strain, and we also at the same time saw that the numbers of really absenteeism really went high up, where people then rather decided to do a lot more home office, and that's not what you want as an employer or building owner, right? Because you've created this gem of a building, and you want to get people there together to foster this community and to help people inspire each other.
Okay, so in the process of trying to achieve a more productive space and understand the surroundings better and to create a more productive place for people to come, they'd actually taken it a step too far and created something that destroyed all of that approach.
Yes, exactly.
And how do we know? How do we know if we go one step too far?
I think, sometimes a gut feeling, I think usually is a good indicator, at least I feel, right? Thinking about how does those things fit together. But I think once again, it's about people first. If you really visualize the whole customer journey end to end, like from people, maybe in the morning, getting up, starting to check the first emails to commuting to work, then whichever way, through public transport or car, actually arriving at the office, finding a space, then spending their day in and around the office, and then going home at night or transitioning even through exercise and the gym to home, really understanding that, and then understanding how do those different touch points we have in terms of the building, the tools, the technology actually look like and work like. I think that probably gives you quite a good indication already, like is it too much, is it too little, are we really addressing the relevant pain points?
And you mentioned touch points, and I think this is a strong indicator. Right? If you have so many different tools that are interacting at different stages of someone's workday, if it becomes too much, we do this full circle back to the old days where you had someone in the office looking over your shoulder, making sure you were working.
Yeah, I think it's really information overload at a whole different level. And even just taking the aspect of IT tools out of it, right? You get emails, you get maybe a phone call, an SMS, or people just, walking by your desk and talking to you. And you feel like, where's this point where I can just, really focus and get back into my flow of work?
Yeah. This is a tough thing because we know that we're able to achieve so many great things with technology. So this challenge to temper our love and our passion for technology to realize that it's still people as part of it. We want to join them as part of the building, but we don't want to overbear to the point where they lose that ability to be themselves.
And I think another aspect we haven't really covered yet in that, and that's also very human in itself, is the corporate culture. So whatever you realize in terms of the physical environment, the furniture, the actual space, the technology in and behind it, it needs to fit to the corporate culture. And we've also seen the example of several companies that had moved into a new space where the space layout was thought to be already of the, hey, in our aspired future state of how we as an organization work, so really changing up the system to be more agile, more customer-centric and so on, where you could really see that then on the move-in date, people had this totally new and open space where potentially management didn't even have, their own offices anymore. And it just didn't work. Because culture-wise and in terms of the change process, people were just not ready for this new type environment. They didn't know how to behave, so they started feeling really, really uncertain. And then things happened where specific people then, always started sitting at the same desk. Although that was really part of that, no one has a fixed desk anymore.
Yeah.
But then there seemed to be still this way of, certain people need to have certain privileges. And it just wasn't ready. So the space was there and was very different, but it really made people feel like, oh, what to do here?
Yeah, and this is a challenge as well, because as you say, you read the knowledge that we have now, you read the research, you see it working in certain places. It doesn't mean that we can pack up one day and accept and absorb a completely new way of working without changing also the way that we interact as employees, as companies with the industry.
And having said that, it's really a change process, and I think one really needs to live the change in order to change. And otherwise, you're somewhat a little bit, at least, probably having some blind spots and set up to fail, because it always should be a prototype. It always should be evolving over time and growing together with the people.
That's an interesting topic. I think we'll have some more to talk about that at some point.
Yeah, let's do that.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
And thank you all for joining us here on Buildings of Tomorrow. Please comment, like, and share this episode, and also ensure to subscribe to us here on this channel. We'll see you again soon.